On June 10th, 2010, James Herbert died in police custody. Aged 25, James had a history of mental health problems. On the day of his death, he had encountered the police several times before his eventual detention outside of the Britannia Inn in Wells, Somerset.
At about 7 p.m, he was running in and out of traffic, walking in and out of traffic on Bath Road, Wells. He was approached by a PCSO, a community officer. PCSO called for backup. James was restrained by the police officer immediately on him arriving. He sort of struggled against restraint, and eventually he was restrained with his hands behind his back, handcuffed, and 2 sets of limb restraints by 3 police officers, a PCSO, and 3 members of the public. He was then put into a van and in the cage, restrained, and he was then driven 26 miles, a 42-minute journey from Wells to Yeovil Custody Suite. At the other end, he was completely unresponsive. He was then taken from the van. He was put into a police cell, having been carried there. They took the mattress out of the cell, they stripped him naked, took off his restraints, and within a few minutes he'd stopped breathing, and within 10 or 15 minutes he was dead. This is the very first time at this police station. It's the first time I think I've ever been to Yeovil, and it's been a strange journey, having read so many words, having written so many words, thousands of words, having lived that last hour and a half of James's life, the hour and a half that started with his detention under Section 136 of the Mental Health Act in Wales, which ended naked, face down, on concrete floor in cell 1 in the custody suites in Yeovil Station. How much I've read, that it was the very first time that I've done the journey, and it was a strange and slightly surreal feeling. But I suppose at least today I can think about one positive thing, which is that after 7 years, the Independent Police Complaints Commission are releasing a report called 6 Missed Chances, which deals with the various times that James's life could have been saved, and perhaps acts as a form of legacy for him that it may not happen to others.
Over 7 years later, following an inquest, 2 investigations conducted by the Independent Police Complaints Commission, and no prosecution of the police officers involved in James's death, the IPCC are publishing a report titled 6 Missed Chances. This document is an analysis of the 6 times that different decisions might have saved James's life. A missed chance to avert a crisis, a missed chance to de-escalate, a missed chance to release the pressure, a missed chance to get immediate mental health support, a missed chance to check on James's well-being, a missed medical emergency. The document will promote learning within the police force, using what happened to James, the missed opportunities and unintended consequences, as a case study to explore alternative options for the police when they are responding to people with mental health difficulties.
When the IPCC does investigations, a key aim for us is to search for the truth. It's very important to try and find out what actually happened. And as part of that, and after trying to find the truth, it's about accountability, people being held to account for what they've done. But just as important to that is learning, because if someone has died, and James sadly died as a result of the restraints that he was subject to, if someone has died, you can't bring them back. But what you want to try and do, and I think it's also really important for a lot of families who have lost their loved ones, that there's learning from it, that things can be different. So 6 Missed Chances, it's about going back and looking if things could have been done differently at key stages, and this is 6 key stages, could there have been a different outcome? Now, we can't know for certain what the outcome would have been, but what we've looked very hard is what alternatives were there for the way that things were handled, and what might have got in the way of those things being done differently, to try and make some key recommendations about changes to police practice when they're responding to incidents with people with mental health problems.
6 Missed Chances for me has been an incredibly important document that's come out of James's death. I think the IPCC commissioner Rachel Serfontein, who determined to write the report really as the main report that they'll make following James's death. Made a very good call in that she was able to really look at the circumstances of what had happened to James very kind of almost dispassionately, but very objectively, to see where the 6 times were that another decision could have been taken that might have saved James's life.
Something very tragic happened, and it's quite possible that if things had been done differently by police officers, the outcome could have been different. We can't change that, but what's important to me is using James's story, the sad story, actually will have a powerful impact on police officers, and they will actually want and be motivated to learn from that, to do things differently. So it's important that we're presenting this positively and constructively. It's separate from the process of calling to account. It's about learning, and what matters to me is to maximise the learning and the impact that it has.
If that goes into police forces and becomes a case study, becomes something that they can really use to help themselves make sure they don't do similar things, then James's legacy will be to really save the life of others, and in a sense, all those families that I've campaigned with and worked with, for all of us, there's something which is going out there which actually may save future lives, because that is the legacy that I can give James. It's the only thing that that has a great deal of meaning for me, and I think for James's mum too, that he suffered, he died, it was avoidable. This 6 missed chances, providing it's embraced by the police forces and it doesn't just stand as a good bit of work that somebody did once, providing it becomes meaningful and works, then it's groundbreaking and really stands for all those poor young people, mostly, some older, who've died avoidable deaths in police custody.